Welcome to Beyond Business Barriers, powered by insights, driven by strategy, and yes, assisted by AI. I'm your host, Roy MacEwen, and today's episode is part of a special series where we sit down with industry leaders to dig into what's working, what's not, and what the future holds. I'm pleased to have with us today Aaron. And Aaron, let's kick things off with a quick intro. Can you tell us who you are and where our listeners can find you online?
Sure. Aaron, also known as the Captain Littles. I had a chance to serve in the United States Marine Corps and finish my time in active duty as a captain of Marines. I'm big on LinkedIn, and now you can find me on all the other social media channels. AaronLittles.com is my website, my personal website. And then I have a couple companies that we'll get into that I also run and manage, but I'm easily searchable on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. I found you, no problem, Aaron. No problem whatsoever. So for our listeners, here's how our podcast is going to go for today. We'll start out with a little bit of Aaron's background, some shifts he's seeing in his industry. Then we'll dig into current priorities and challenges. Finally, we'll look ahead where things are going and how Aaron is preparing for what's next and what the future holds. Are you ready to go, Aaron?
I am always ready. Always ready.
Let's keep our listeners on the edge of their seat for at least 30 minutes then. So let's start at the top. Going a little deeper, what's your role at your company and how does it connect to the bigger vision you're working towards?
Sure. So I actually have a couple of different ventures, but they're all tied together in the staffing space. My core company is Per Diem Therapy Experts, where we're revolutionizing per diem therapy staffing. So we're staffing PT, OT, speech therapists and their assistants using our mobile app technology that we have developed and are now continuing to modify to enhance that process. And it's an Uber-like model where we go to major US metros, onboard our pool of therapists, and then deploy them out for work assignments at various settings in the healthcare space, nursing homes, home health companies, hospitals, outpatient clinics, things like that. And then I also have my consulting practice, Streamlined Group Consulting, which actually helps a lot of staffing companies that want to innovate, not become Blockbuster Video, and be out of business because they haven't embraced technology or looked at their operation to streamline things. And the whole vision that I'm trying to work towards is helping all these companies and my company be future-proof, be AI-proof, be on the cutting edge of those newest technologies to make sure that we stay relevant.
Oh, now, if we were to shadow you for a day, what would our listeners see from your day-to-day activities?
Well, it starts early. I'm in the 5 a.m. club. I don't know if we posted it today, but it's like, taking pictures of the watch at 5 in the morning, reading my Bible, reading professional items, going to the pool, swim, gym. And I do that stuff not because I'm like a fitness person per se, but we have to make sure the machine is running well. You have to be able to stay in the fight. In high school, I had the little award for perfect attendance, and I would have had it for 4 years, but I went to go visit colleges, and they should have gave you credit for those days. I didn't miss class, but that's a whole separate thing. I write a blog about it at some point. But my point is that you got to be in the fight. You got to take care of your system so that you're not missing days of work, so you can be working a lot. And that's what it takes. And I only know one way to do it, and that's work hard, as much as you can and get as much done as you can. After that, though, I do my family time. I take that break between, 7:30 a.m. till 8:30 a.m. to be with the family, help lead our devotion, to help make sure breakfast is handled, all those different pieces. Then I get into my workday, 8:45, checking emails, making sure that all my assistants are doing what they're supposed to do, then thinking about the strategy, having client meetings, having internal meetings, and then noon, take a little bit of a break, see what's going on in the house. And I'm working from home right now, which is different for me, but I like it. I can be involved a little bit more. I'm gonna get back to an office at some point, so my wife is getting spoiled right now. But that's what the morning looks like, and then the afternoon, sales calls, client meetings, all those different things, and then jumping on podcasts, doing your other things, and then 6 o'clock, hang out with the kids, help them do whatever they're doing for the end of the day, play with them a little bit, dinner time, and all those things. So I always like pointing out, you got to be a full person. You can't just be imbalanced where you work 80 hours a week and don't have family time. That does not work out well long term. If you don't work out long term, that doesn't work out well either. So if you don't have all those other things kind of moving in the same speed as your career growth, then you're going to be way out of balance 5 years, 10 years later. and all of a sudden you have problems in the other area. So I try to make sure that I grow as a whole person each and every day.
I can see that you took your military training and incorporated into civilian life. And I
I
can
have,
appreciate that because organization, times, schedule, that's the best way. You know,
yeah.
you
And the biggest one that people sometimes take for granted because it gets a bad name is discipline. So I have I've grown my discipline to say this is my routine because I can recite my routine to you offhand because that's what I do. That's, that's it's just what I do. And it takes
absolutely,
21 days to change your routine. And my wife asked me the other day, and I hadn't thought about it until she asked me. She said, "Aaron, why is it so easy for you to skip one morning and then get right back on track?" Is it because I'm in steady state? My body knows what steady state is. And so steady state is wake up and do all these things. So you take a day off and you go and, oh, we watched a movie or we had a date night, but the next day you're back at it because your body wants to go back to that steady state. So I encourage everyone, get to a steady
absolutely,
state that you like. Get to a steady state that's going to help you win, not 10 months from now, not just the annual New Year's goals, 10 years from now. What's it going to take to win? Read 10 pages a day, 10 pages a day. And 10 years later, now you've read 47 professional books. Oh, well, now let's talk. I could show you my library and it's just full of books. And we get those lessons without having to spend the money of making the mistakes ourselves.
absolutely. I can't even find a better and more efficient way for a person to, and I can attest to how energetic you feel about that and how positive you feel about that. So I'm not there anymore, but I was.
Well, and you know what? It's okay. It's like, but you got to find what works for you because at some point, sure, I'll go to the 6 a.m. club. I know one guy, he's in the 4 a.m. club. I was sending him an email and it's 5:30 in the morning. He's like, hey, we can talk tomorrow at 4:15. I'm like, in the afternoon. He's like, no, 4:15 a.m. I'll do a Zoom meeting with you. That's when I'm free. I'm busy. I was like, I cap out at 4:47. That's about as early, maybe 4:30, maybe. But he's up at 3:45, and that's just his routine. So
Yeah, that's absolutely to say that's fine for you, but you're not in the cool club.
right.
I'm going to the five. I'm going to the five club.
I'm slacking over here at the 5 a.m. Oh my gosh,
But you make up for it in the evenings, right? So
there you
he's
go.
got to he's got to be bed down by 9 for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. He I saw him once and he was dragging it 8:15.
Yeah, exactly. Long day. So well, let's shift it into your what have you been seeing shifting in the industry lately that's really caught your attention? And what's one operational bottleneck that keeps coming up?
Sure. So in the healthcare staffing segment, there's a lot of talk about AI. I'll talk about that in a second, but also just in general, I mentioned it before in our prep call. Healthcare went through a boom and a bust, if you can imagine
Mhm.
that. The pandemic was unheard of, unprecedented in our industry, where the demand for all types of clinicians, primarily nurses, was just through the roof. Now that demand is softened, settled down, and it's not the same. So everyone in the industry is trying to find that new normal. And what's happened is, and this is I've seen this in my consulting clients and former clients and all these other things, they've got to figure out how to manage their costs because now as the revenue came down, my costs, if I don't take my costs back down by reducing force, unfortunately, or finding other revenue streams to grow and justify having that head count, that's where people are in this conundrum right now of compressed margins. The clinicians want higher wages, the facilities want lower wages back to pre-pandemic levels. You have all these things happening, and then the staffing companies are getting squeezed in the middle. And so now it's like, okay, guys, there's a responsible use of AI that can help mitigate some of your costs. You've got to talk to your team and say, team, we're down to pre-pandemic levels. And before the pandemic, there was 4 of us. Now there's 12. So either you all help me figure out how to triple our revenue some way, somehow, and buy companies or merge companies, or you've got to make those really hard decisions. And some companies made those decisions too late. And if you do those things too late, I personally had to make that call and have 200 faces on a screen and say, "I'm sorry, guys, we can't keep you all."
And
That made me physically ill. That made me physically ill because we could have done it better. And that's what I'm saying. If you see the writing on the wall as a small business owner, be transparent and help your and ask your team to help you. Okay, so that's where the trends are to say, if you're not making money, and we're in business, so you got to make money, then you have a problem. If you don't get your team involved with that, the repercussions could be catastrophic long term.
Yeah, and that's the importance of being proactive versus reactive, because once you're late to the game, you're playing catch up the whole time. Now, these trends and data points, how are they shaping your strategy today? Are they nudging you to rethink everyone's growth strategy, your growth strategy?
I happen to try to be on the innovative side, the bleeding edge of technology, new things, innovation. And so when I look at all my startups, I say, okay, how do we leverage technology as soon as possible in the operation? And I think there's this balancing act because I've gotten wiser over the years where I thought Zillow, or no, it was like Open Door. I thought Open Door was going to remove all realtors. I was like, oh my gosh, realtors are done. This is done. It's over. No, it's a major purchase for most people to buy their very first house, to buy a house in general. You only do it 2 or 3 times. Like this not that many. So a lot of people still want an advisor, like a realtor, to take them through that process. Oh, well, I'm a millennial or whatever, and I might do a hybrid model where I go on Zillow for a while, pick my 3 houses that I want, then I call a realtor. And then you have Gen Z that says, you know what? Click buy. I can go do a self visit, and they don't use a realtor. My point is that there was 3 models. There's digital, there's hybrid, and then there's a human to human touch. So I think for the next 30 years, we're still going to have different flavors of that in all those segments. And so it's like, okay, know what segment you want to dominate. And then if you can play across multiple, good on you. But that's important. So now when I look at my businesses, what segment do I want to target? Do I want to be hybrid where I have a little bit of tech and a little bit of human touch? Am I all digital or am I all human? I'm pretty much not all human at all in any of my ventures. I'm using a lot of AI. So I'm in that hybrid camp. I'm in that hybrid camp. Say, hey, let's use a human where it makes sense. And I'm pro human. Uh, and I'm pro AI. I'm pro jobs. And so it's like, I don't want to say no one's going to have jobs. I just want people to think about, how do you manage your costs? Who can do the work the cheapest, be it human, be it AI? And I know it sounds weird to say that now, Roy, but it's happening. This is happening. It's out
Oh,
there.
yes.
And if you're not keeping up with the conversation, you're going to get left behind. That's all there is to it. And now when I even mix in human, I do look at, hey, what's my US mix versus other country mix, and play in the global economy. And I have a lot of people working with me in India that are doing a great job and at a reduced cost for the jobs that they can handle. And so I just look at all those things, and you stack all those things up to find that cost position where it makes good business sense and operationally makes good operation sense. My team, whoever I hire, has to do a great job. Now the question is, can I get a cheaper price? That's where it is, and I'm not saying I can't have US workers. I like US workers for certain tasks and they need to do a good job. And I like India for other tasks and they need to do a good job. So I don't think it's a sacrifice of quality anymore for anything. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it does, because I can totally relate to it because that's exactly what we do too.
Yeah,
And you have to. You can't just put all and the old analogy, and this has been around since I don't know when, a long time. Can't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
absolutely.
You know, balance is important. And different markets, different people, you have to find a commonality within that and you get the right balance and move forward with that. So, well, I want to keep in the positive here. So, what's actually working really well for you right now? And are there any surprise wins or solid bets that paid off the last few months?
Solid bets. I'm actually about to spend a little bit of an investment on some new tech. And I've been piloting all these AI recruiters and AI texting, and all that stuff is actually really good. Like, it's kind of surprisingly good. And it's surprising that the clinicians are adopting it, because that's always the risk, is if you have an AI bot or an AI persona communicate with your clinician that's going to hopefully earn you $20,000 of revenue, you want that exchange to go well. And when it goes well and they're like, oh, yes, and they're texting back with the AI, and I'm watching this thing happen real time, I was like, oh, well, this is a recruiter seat that maybe I don't need a full recruiter. I need a quarter of a recruiter now. because now a recruiter can watch 4 of those conversations happen. So I get scale, I get savings, and I still maintain my quality. If all those things are happening, bring it on. So now we're looking at using several different AI personas to help us scale. And those are the things that we have to be doing because the clinicians want it. The clinicians want to talk and text and get onboarded at 9 o'clock at night. Okay, well, AI can get them to a point, right, at 9 o'clock at night Pacific time. I'm East Coast. So that's happening while I'm sleeping, and I do sleep sometimes, you know? So that's what's happening and that's helping me. So it's like, well, I didn't have to hire a person and do that chat at 9 o'clock Pacific. Let's do that. And then we save money and then we still have a good clinician experience.
Perfect. Now, what about bringing in new business? How are you attracting leads these days? Are there specific channels or approaches that seem to be hitting the mark for you right now? I know you're incredibly active on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think, and Sarita and I are really looking at this strategy, especially in our therapy business, but also in our consulting business. I've not had a consulting project come in where someone's Googled me and clicked a button and then given me a retainer deposit of $25,000. So that's not happened yet. It's available if anyone wants to, but it goes back to relationships now, Roy. So we still want to make sure. Now we mark our calendar, say, okay, we're going to go to these 3 industry events for therapy. And this is the 1 or 2 industry events I want to go to for consulting to still build that in person now. Pandemic's over. Can we get back together? Can we shake hands? And we still have that awkward fist bump, shake hands thing happening, but that's okay because we can joke about it and laugh.
Hugs work, man. Hugs work.
Just hug it out. And so that's where doing the in-person and having the social media presence layered in with the phone call. I was cold calling a list from one of the conferences, but they're like, "No, Aaron, I saw you on the panel. I saw you on stage, and I'm great thankful that you called me." Like, "Oh, okay, well, now it's a warm call." So it's like, well, that went from a cold call to a warm call really fast, you know?
Yeah, you go from here right to there. You're starting here and you're like, oh, wow, thanks. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
So getting those opportunities to speak, be on the panels and keynotes and things like that allow those leaders, and I encourage all leaders to be a thought leader in your industry. And I'm striving to work towards that by reading books and talking to different professionals and increasing my knowledge for the different sectors of healthcare staffing and staffing in general, to then be invited to present some thoughts and ideas around all these things that are impacting our industry. Technology, the people. This is a people business. There are going to be robots that help with certain functions in the staffing space, but for now, there's still a lot of people. And if you can deal with the people and still connect with the people now, pandemic's over. How do we get relationships? So I think that's still, we got to get back old school with connecting again.
Absolutely. So if you had to name one area where you spend the most time and effort to gain momentum, what would it be? What's your go-to for momentum?
So it's one of those things where I'll quantify it, and maybe you'll say it's cheating, but it's velocity. I push everyone that I talk to go a little bit faster across every segment of my operation, every one of my vendors, every one of my partners, to say, hey, what's holding us back from getting that done tomorrow? What's holding us back from getting that deliverable out ahead of schedule? And it's a velocity thing. It's a sense of urgency that I want to bring to every single project, every single shift. When you do healthcare staffing, Roy, especially in the long-term care space, it's fast twitch. They need a person right now. I remember signing contracts on a 3 o'clock on a Friday. Actually, it was 5 o'clock on a Friday. And they said, okay, now that we signed the agreement, I need 2 CNAs right now. Well, you waited so stop what you're doing. Let's get to work. Let's go find 2 people because the patients needed care. And that was ingrained in me for years and years and years of doing it every Friday. So I got smart and said, hey, babe, let's go out on Saturday night instead of Friday night because I got to work. And so then I didn't have to break all my dates with my wife because I got some foresight. And then I got even smarter. I said, hey, client, on Thursday, if you sign the agreement, I'll give you a 2% discount. Oh, okay, I'll sign it. And then they tell me their Friday needs on Thursday. So then I got really smart. Oh my gosh. And then I got my dates back on Friday. But anyway, my point being, sense of urgency, just velocity, because what happens is someone is somewhere is doing just a little rubber stamp job. And if you ask them politely to say, hey, do you mind putting mine to the top of the pile? They might say yes. And whatever ripple effect that has, something got done faster. Someone got care faster. And especially we're in healthcare staffing, the faster I can get something approved, the faster I can get someone to go to work to take care of a patient. And so if we have that sense of urgency and that resonates, because if I bring it, it trickles down my team. And if you don't buy into that, you're not a fit. You don't buy into my culture. I'm so sorry. Let me help you transition to a slower paced deal that you can be successful in, because I'm going to look at you weird the rest of the time if you're not going to have some craziness in your eyes like I do.
Perfect. I like that. That's like people say, plan for the unexpected. Well, there is no unexpected if you foresee and anticipate. It's no
Yes,
longer unexpected.
right. Christmas is coming this year. Every year it
Ev-
comes. So
That's
where's the
right.
present money? Where's the gifts? Where's everything's planned? Plan a year in advance. Get ahead of it.
That's right. Oh, I like your momentum here. I like that. I'm gonna keep using that. I don't. It's not copyright yet, is it? Is
No,
that
it's
a?
not.
Well, let's fast forward since you like being fast. Let's fast forward 6 to 12 months. Okay. What would success look like to you? And what are you looking to celebrate in 2025, 26?
Sure. So, Sarita and I just finished 1 year. So we actually looked back and celebrated saying we've been in business for 1 year. And it's a concept that's new in our space for per diem therapy. And we talked to a lot of different staffing companies, and people are still kind of like not sure it's going to work. Meanwhile, we're doing 1 million in revenue. So now, don't quit your job over that. That's not a bragging thing to say, oh my gosh, look at how great they are. But when everyone else is going down and we're a startup that has bound revenue, that's positive. And we have customers asking us and saying, when are you coming to our state? When are you going to be in our metro? That's positive. So now, 12 months from now, I want to be able to say we're here to all those customers that are asking me. I want to be in Florida. I want to be in Georgia. I want to be in Virginia. I want to be in several more major metros that where we can help and add value. Because again, it's patients that need care. It's a lot of our clinicians help the elderly that just want to maintain mobility, be able to walk, be able to go and move around and have that movement, and be able to still maintain the use of their mouth and still be able to speak. And when you think about those things, it's people aging with dignity. And if they can't age with dignity, we should all be ashamed. And I don't want to get too crazy about the money, but long-term care needs more money. If we're going to figure out the budget, long-term care had good money in the pandemic and people had all the care they needed. Now that's over. The money's gone down, care's gone down. That's all there is to say to it. So we've got to find out how to make sure that the right care is happening for the greatest generation. That's important. So I want to do our part to make sure we get great therapists to show up and do a great job and take care of great people.
Perfect. That would be saying that it's sustainable. Um, if and it's retainable too. I mean, all of that can be done. It's been proven that it's been done. So
Absolutely.
that makes it harder for people to say, "Oh, we can't come up with this. We can't have the funding for that." And well, obviously we can. And if we can't find the ability to maintain our our generation that's ahead of us, I mean, how is that going to look for us too? So I mean, essentially, like I'm looking at probably 12, 15 years from now.
Right.
I'll be wanting that dignity factor. You know.
Yeah, and that's what we've been saying, and I've been saying this for years in my other nurse staffing companies. Like, if we don't solve these problems now, then it's it's gonna be me in that seat. And what happens is, Roy, and this is really really sad, but if you're a big strong man and you weigh 250 pounds or 300 pounds, I'm sorry, sir, you don't get to go outside today because we had one nurse's aide call out. We can't move you. Okay, that's what happens. That's the reality of it. And everyone should volunteer 8 hours a month at some of these long-term care places
Yes.
and see with their own two eyes. And there's a whole thesis I had about sending high school students on a nursing track. And instead of working at Publix like I did, go be a CNA, go to be an LPN at the JUCO. then do an LP and RN bridge program online, and now you're 23 years old making $70,000 a year with experience as a nurse. Oh, that's good. We need to scale that program. So that's a whole separate sidebar on nursing. The same thing happens now in therapy. We don't have enough therapists. We need to either create more, let more immigrants come in. It's a big immigrant population of therapists, and we just need to be able to give more care. That's so we've got to solve all these problems, especially in our healthcare system.
Yeah, it's not just a local issue. It's not a country issue. It's a North American issue. I know, and European countries have done a lot to take up and cover all the costs for everything. So, I mean, our countries are richest countries. Like, let's prioritize, right?
Absolutely, and that's what we're trying to
Without
do.
getting too politicized. So we won't go
Sure,
there.
sure, and it's just it's like clinicians need to make money,
Mhm.
okay, and there's a cost that the facilities can afford. All I'm trying to do, and all most staffing companies are trying to do is say, "Hey, let me help you, but I've got to make a profit." So as long as I can find a way to make a profit, and now because I'm getting compressed, let's use some AI. Let's use some people in different countries that I can leverage the global economy. I still have U.S. employees. Our very first employee is going to be a U.S. person, and I think she lives in Kentucky. But but it's like, and I like her accent, so it's a beautiful accent. Anyway, but it's like, if I can keep this piece tight and control my costs, but I have to scale. I have to be in all over the United States to make my, 2%, 3% margin on a couple
Yes.
$100 million of revenue. Oh, okay. Well, then that's a good company. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help people. We have to make a profit to pay groceries and mortgages and stuff like that. But it's always fun and rewarding to provide jobs at the end of the day. And of course, ultimately provide patient care.
Well, it's that time. It's called magic wand time. You ready for this? If you could instantly solve just one major issue in the business right now, just by making it disappear, what would it be?
One major issue. Oh my gosh. I want all therapists to download my app right now. That would just make it easier. Because once they're on, then I can go talk to all the clients that need help and say, we've got 3.3 million therapists on the app. So they can go to pdtx.care and check out the website and then go to the App Store and Google Play Store and download the app. That would be the magic wand for me.
Well, this has been a great conversation, Aaron. And I'll just call you the captain. Really appreciate how open, thoughtful, and honest you've been. Once I finish this series, I'll be pulling together a highlight reel of key takeaways from all our guests, and I'll be sure to send that your way. Have a fantastic day.
Thanks so much, Roy. I enjoyed being here.